Hey buddies, welcome to AmassGames. My name is Simon. We're looking at Lorcana. This is Disney Lorcana, a trading card game. I've got two sets to bring you. In fact, whilst I'm doing it, I'm actually going to do two in the same video. We've also got Ursula's Return. Now the reason for doing a weighing of both is because I've heard that down to the microgram, there's a slight difference as to whether or not there might actually be any kind of excess going on with the packaging, and therefore it can indicate if there happens to be some foils and stuff. Now I have already kind of dug into this. This is how you open it. There's many different ways you can open it along the side. And I've already scored this twice. The third time should be enough. There it is. And I'm going to open this up. So David is here as well. He happens two games of this too. They're also Ursula's Return. Of course, these have got different characters on the front, but it happens to be the same that David has there too. He knows a lot about trading card games. This comes like a player mat. And we've got some cards in here. So this is 48 cards and 12 special cards. So David, what am I opening up here?
So this is a predefined starter deck. It's 60 cards and you can play this straight out of the pack. The first two cards, you can see they've got a foil finish. So it's a super rare and a rare. The symbol at the bottom center of the card dictates the rarity value. So a super rare is a 5-pointed icon, which shows it's like level 5. And then level 4, 3, 2, 1. And 1 is actually a circle because it has one side. Although if it's a sphere or a circle, you can decide. So these starter decks are ideal for beginners getting into the game because they come with characters who work well together with an overall strategy. The cards themselves are divided into 4 different types. And so we have characters. Those are the characters from the movies that you're probably familiar with. You put them into play and they act on your behalf during your turn. You've also got actions, which can come in 2 forms, either normal actions or songs. Songs are the kind of fan favourite songs from some of the movies that characters sing to get a cheaper playability. There's items, which are generally, they come into play and they can be used straight away. So they're a bit faster than characters, but they don't have as much utility. Some decks revolve around items and where you want to build a huge line of little trinkets and goodies that you want to use during your turns. And then the final item is, the final card type is locations, which were brought out in set 2. Locations are sort of locales from the films. You can send your characters there by paying a specific cost. Each site has its own unique cost. And when the characters are at that location, they gain a benefit. They might be able to quest for more lore, they might get more willpower or strength, or there might be other effects that determine based on the type of location it is. So inside each starter deck, you get the 60 cards, you get a play mat where you can sort of organise your cards and your lore. Lore is the amount of power or your level that you're trying to get to 20. And different characters have got different lore values. The 2 icons in the left hand, or your right hand side, show how many lore that character gets when they quest. And obviously the first to 20 wins. Or if your opponent or you run out of cards and you can't draw a card at the start of your turn, then you would also lose. It's a very quick to learn game. It's not very complex. And all the actions you take in your own turn, and then your opponent will have their turn. So there's no interrupts or complicated timing trees at the moment. Obviously it is still in the early infancy of the game, just a year old. And there might be more complex timing charts in the future. So in terms of the 2 starter decks, you've got one deck which is based around the Madrigal family from the Encanto movie, and that's the purple and amber, or yellow purple. And the other one is steel or silver and blue sapphire, which is based on Anna and Hercules. They both have good abilities and they've got lots of lore on them, 2 lore each. And I think the deck is based around just charging up your characters and trying to control the board. So these are little damage tokens. Each character has a willpower, which is like their health. As they take damage, you can represent it by placing these willpower tokens against their total. And if they were to receive the total equal to their willpower, then they're discarded from the game. You can bring characters back with some play effects. But generally speaking, once the character's gone, it's hard to get them back. There's also the ink. So in Lorcana, the cost to play the characters is determined by the number in the top left corner. And some characters have got gold circle around their number, and some just have a black hexagon, and pentagon, whatever. And the gold circle means that they can be placed into your inkwell, and your inkwell is like your resources, how much you can spend every turn. And it's a bit like mana in Magic, where once you've used that ink for the turn, you tap it. Well, previously you would tap it in Magic to show that you've used it, so that you would then, once you've run out of resources and you've used all your characters, you'd pass to your opponent. And then only at the start of your next turn, you'd ready up your cards, because the ready step is the first part of your turn. And that means just turning all of your exhausted characters face up, like vertically, and to show that they can be used again. And then the set is just to make sure that you've got everything ready. And then draw is at the start of your turn, you draw one card from your deck. Play passes from player to player until the first person gets to 20 lore. And generally speaking, most games would take between sort of 10 to 20 minutes, depending on the deck type and the matchups. In tournament play, there is some obviously more complex rules, and the way that the game has been designed, it does favour the first player in some respects. And so what the organisers have tried to do now is to have a best of two, sort of you play 2 games, going first, going second, and therefore you'd get points scored from both games to try and balance out the favourability. Just the R&D, when you go first, you have that advantage to put your characters down first, and therefore you're questing first or attacking first, and so you do have a bit more control about how the game can flow. And the second player will always have to react. Some decks do work best in second if you're in a control environment, if you're trying to remove characters from the board and control how much the opponent is doing. But in general speaking, I think the average is probably over 80% favoured win rate for first player rather than second player.
Cool. Sounds very interesting. That's very informative once again by David here. So thank you very much. We look forward to trying this game out. Any questions, always like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Let us know via the comments at best in YouTube. Also head through via the description for any kind of errata, any updates, anything to do with the Patreon. Also head through those images over on Instagram, join the discussion on Facebook. Head through, listen to the podcast and various other stuff too. You can hear David on the podcast, episode 3. But for now, we're looking forward to checking out Disney Lorcana. That's it for now. Back to the table. Enjoy the game.